Oh, yes. Good morning. I'm Pamela Furr. Furr. Do I know my own name? Hello. Take two. Pamela Furr here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 9:06. It is the day that we like to call, you ready? Freak Out Friday. Finally,
Woo.
Freak Out Friday. Yes. This is the time. You know, everybody in radio does this. This is not a new concept, but this is your time. Anything that you want to get off your chest, if you need to freak out about something, this is the place to do it. 615-5. I almost gave my cell phone number. 615-737-9986 is the phone number.
That would cause a freak out.
Oh, I would absolutely freak out. Yes. 615-737-9986 is the phone number. You can also super text us your freak out as well on this Freak Out Friday. Now, here's something. I'm going to set this up myself. Here's something that I'm a little freaked out about. Actually, I would say more so the Space Force General is a little freaked out. Here's the story. She's a high-ranking Space Force officer, and she has spoken out slamming a slew of recent what they are calling anti-LGBTQ state laws, saying that they're having a negative impact on military families and force readiness. I say BS, bovine scatology, at least the way that she explains it here. Her name is Lieutenant General Deanna Burt, and she made the remarks in a speech at the 12th Annual DOD LGBTQ Pride event in Washington, D.C. Now, already I'm going, why is the Department of Defense throwing an LGBTQ plus Pride event? Don't they have other things they need to focus on right now? Don't they have other things they need to be spending money on right now? I'm just saying. Well, anyway, she says that the laws are sometimes forcing her to choose less qualified candidates for postings in those states. Let me say this again. BS. Bovine scatology. I'm trying to do a jingle. I don't, it's not there yet. But baloney. That's malarkey, as Joe Biden would say. She goes on to say, since January of this year, more than 400 anti-LGBTQ plus laws have been introduced at the state level. That number is rising and demonstrates a trend that could be dangerous for service members, their families, and the readiness of the force as a whole, this Lieutenant General added. Burt explained that in some cases, the most qualified candidate for a transfer or a promotion might be passed over if the laws in the state of the new posting could negatively impact them or their families. Can you tell me what law in the state of Tennessee would negatively impact an LGBTQ family or an LGBTQ individual who wants to progress in the military, whether that is Space Force, whether that is Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, National Guard, Air National Guard? Can you tell me what law in Tennessee would cause someone to be passed over because of it? Because the only laws that I'm aware of in Tennessee is the drag show or sexually explicit shows in public ban. So I'm not sure how that would negatively impact your military family unless you are also a drag show performer and if you are also doing explicitly sexual drag shows on public property and a member of the military. I don't know how else it would negatively affect you. Laws in Tennessee also prevent gender mutilation, gender reassignment surgeries, things that have anything to do with that for minors, children, right? 18 and younger. Whoa, hit the microphone. Sorry about that. That hurt, actually.
That sounded kind of painful. It was very aggressive.
I'm very handsy today. Excuse me. So that's the only laws, or those are the only laws that I'm aware of in the state of Tennessee that could possibly be on the books that you might be talking about. And I don't know that any of those would negatively impact your family. If your child needs gender affirming care, you can go to other states, right? I guess that's what they're trying to say. It would impact military in the state of Tennessee. I have to be honest with you. I'm okay with that. If you're a family and you are buying into the notion that gender reassignment surgery is what your child needs, I think your family has other issues than trying to get someone employed or promoted in the military. Now, I said that out loud, didn't I? I really did. I said that out loud. They list in this story all the states where trans care for teens is banned. Tennessee, one of them. Kentucky, Illinois. I think that's Illinois. Yeah, that looks like Illinois to me. Illinois. West Virginia has a partial ban. Georgia, partial ban. Alabama, looks like a ban is coming. Texas. I mean, the list goes on. The general explained, when I look at potential candidates, say for squadron command, I strive to match the right person to the job. All right, well, duh, that's what you're supposed to do. I consider their job performance and relevant experience first. Okay, great. That's what you're supposed to do. I also look at their personal circumstances, and their family is also an important factor, she says. She goes on, if a good match for a job does not feel safe being themselves and performing at their highest potential at a given location, or if their family could be denied critical health care due to laws in that state, I am compelled to consider a different candidate and perhaps less qualified. Let me ask you something. Is she admitting to discrimination? Is she now discriminating against an LGBT plus Q candidate? I did it backwards. I'm sorry. LGBTQ plus candidate based on their sexuality, based on gender, did she just admit to discrimination? I know she was trying to blame states for this, but she's saying she overlooks a candidate based on LGBTQ plus issues, didn't she? She goes, those barriers are a threat to our readiness, and they have a direct correlation to the resiliency and well-being of our most important operational advantage, our people. Now, Space Force was asked to comment on this. They have not, however, at least not to the Daily Mail. However, a spokesperson for the branch told Fox News Digital, quote, to stay ahead of our pacing challenge and win in a competitive environment, leaders must identify and remove barriers facing their teams. So you're telling me that LGBTQ laws in Tennessee, like the one that bars gender reassignment surgery or gender mutilation surgery for minors, is going to have a detrimental effect on our military, on whether our military is a well-oiled fighting machine. We have top talent in the nation, the spokesperson goes on to say, and we must enable them to perform their missions by ensuring they are not worried about the health and safety of their families. Show me in Tennessee where their family is not safe. Show me in Tennessee where a family's health care is in jeopardy. True health care is in jeopardy. Not an elective procedure, but health care. The Department of the Air Force recognizes that various laws and legislation are being proposed and passed in states across America that may affect LGBTQ airmen, guardians, and or their LGBTQ dependents in different states. We have worked to inform and educate our members on the assignment, medical, legal, and other resources available to support airmen, guardians, and their families. Earlier this month, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin issued a statement vowing he is dedicated to making sure that our LGBTQ personnel across the joint force can continue to serve the country that we all love with dignity and pride. Here's how a member of the LGBTQ plus community can serve in the military with honor and pride. Do your job. Do your job. And all these other issues, don't let them play into it because it doesn't matter. If you are a capable individual, if you are a capable human being with the training that you've gotten from our government, from our military, and you're good at what you do, it doesn't matter whether you are a lesbian, whether you are gay, whether you are bi, whether you are trans, whether you are queer, whether you are plus. None of that matters if you can do your job. If you know how to take out the enemy, if you know how to go to our state borders as guardsmen to help in natural disasters, I'm not going to care what anything has to do with your sexuality at all if you are able to perform your duties. Period. Bringing all this other stuff in is what dilutes the focus. All of it. I mean, Bill Clinton may have had something right. I can't believe I'm saying it. It's true. Don't ask, don't tell. Because it shouldn't have anything to do with any of this. And now I think this particular lieutenant general is making excuses for recruitment. It's not because of states who are passing so-called anti-LGBTQ plus laws. It's because our military is beginning to focus on pride issues. They're becoming the woke military. That is part of the problem of recruitment. And I think that's been proven time and time again. So that's my freak out today. 615-737-9986 is the phone number. 615-737-9986. You want to freak out? It's Freak Out Friday. If there's something you'd like to say or talk about, the phone lines are open for you. 615-737-9986. You can also super text as well. The phones are starting to light up. We will take your calls when we return on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Search and rescue crews continue to comb through debris from a devastating Texas tornado. And a body found in Memphis may be a missing 4-year-old. I'll have those stories at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, yeah. 9:25. It is Freak Out Friday on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Pamela Furr. Glad to have you with us today. Woohoo! What do you want to freak out about? Anything you freaking out about there, Mac Maury? Just the fact that it's Friday and you're still working?
Yeah, I would say that's about it right now. No, I'm not freaking out yet. We'll see. We've got 2.5 hours to go.
We got a ways to go. All right, let's go to Bobby in Nashville. Hey, Bobby, how's it going?
It's going pretty good.
Good.
Pamela, I just want to let you guys know, as always, you're doing a fabulous job, and whatever they're paying you, it's not enough. So, anyway.
I have to say I agree.
Hey, I just want to run something by you real quick. It had something to do with your last topic. Hey, I don't care if you're gay, you're whatever you are. Here's the deal. You're not going to be able to change anything. I mean, you got rights. They can come up, hey, I need my rights. You've got rights already. You're a man and you're a woman. That's your right.
And you have a right to work. You have a right to grow. You have a right to be employed. You have a right to be promoted. You have a right to be treated fairly, just like everybody else.
You are exactly right. And, that's just the way it is. And Billy's not going to be able to turn it. They can't have a baby. You know what I'm saying? Billy cannot turn into Tammy and think he's going to have – it ain't going to happen. The good Lord, read your Bible. But anyway, I want to get on another quick topic about the Republicans.
Okay.
You know this yourself. The Republicans, what they need to do is quit going against each other and stick together and start talking about the issues. I love Donald Trump. I love DeSantis. Let's quit going against each other. Let's stick to the topics of what the enemy is doing, and we know what the enemy is. It's the Democrats. So what's your take on that?
Well, I mean, my take is this, and thank you, Bobby, for your phone call. Here's my take. I mean, we are in primary season. So, I mean, that automatically divides us all, right? Because we all get to choose who we believe will be the best candidate for president of the United States. It's after the primary vote, when it comes down to who's actually going to win that vote, then we all need to come together and unite behind one candidate. This is the process. This is the process. So I don't know what else to do. I mean, this is the primary season. This is what you're supposed to do. By the way, I have a correction I need to make. I really kind of goofed up yesterday on something, on that whole Justin Jones election. And it wasn't until I heard Jay do his newscast this morning that I realized, yesterday was the primary with Justin Jones and Laura Nelson, and they were both running unopposed. So the Republican candidate for District 52 running unopposed, and the Democrat candidate, who is Justin Jones, running unopposed. So yesterday was just the primary. The regular election will be in August.
Right, August 3rd.
Yeah, so thank you, Jay. I got that way wrong yesterday. I couldn't figure out why no one was making a big deal out of this election yesterday. Well, that's why, because it was a primary. And very few people showed up for District 52 because there was no reason to. I mean, if they were running unopposed, they both win their slots automatically and go to the general election. So that's why. So I goofed. My bad. Let's go to Ruben, who's on the line. Hey, Ruben.
Hey, how you doing?
Fabulous. What do you want to freak out about?
The whole political system. Well, I mean, think about it. There was this wise old man, y'all may have heard of him. His name was George Washington. He said, political parties are the death of a nation. So, with that being said, why do we have political parties? To keep us divided. Politicians don't care about us. They don't care about you. They don't care about anything but their money. It's all about greed and political power and putting money in that. We all know Joe Biden didn't win that election. We know that. But we're not stupid. We all know that these guys are crooked. But what do we do about it? Get rid of them. That's that simple. I'm not saying go out and burn things down, hurt people. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they have got to go. They've got to go. Do you realize the money they have spent on
Oh, yeah.
investigation, and sending money here?
Taxpayer
Yeah.
money. Yeah.
You know, if you add that up, I was reading in a poll recently on Google, so the Dr. Google, that said they wasted on investigations and sending to countries that want to see us die. They could have gave every American citizen $1.1 million.
Well, you broke up on that money number, but I appreciate your phone call. I think you said $1.1 million. I haven't seen the story, but they could have done something better with that money. I don't disagree with you on that at all. It is 9:31. Freak Out Friday continues on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
A Roth IRA versus a traditional IRA. Which one should we do? A lot of people struggle over this particular decision. And I'll just give you a couple tools to figure out what might be better for you. Think about it this way. Let's say if I had $1,000 that I was thinking about investing, that was income, $1,000 of income. With an IRA, let's say that you're in a 30% tax bracket. Let's say there is such a thing. And you want to put this money in an IRA. You're going to save $300 in taxes. Now, if you go post-tax with like a Roth IRA, this is how much goes into the Roth IRA. Now, let's say that later on down the road, we have this money and it didn't grow at all, just to keep the math really simple. And let's say that at some point in the future, you're in a lower tax bracket, because the way our tax system works is that your first income is taxed at a really low rate, and then you get up into higher rates, 10%, 12%, 22%, and so on and so forth. It gets higher. If you're earning income and you're at that particular tax rate up there, you might want to avoid that tax rate right now and take the income at a later point in time when you're in a lower average tax rate. Now let's say that you're in a 10% bracket down here when you pull the money. How much are you going to pay in taxes? 10% of $1,000 is $100. How much do you get to spend? $900. Well, even though I didn't have growth, I had growth because of the difference between my tax rate here and here. And that's the idea. That's one of the things that we look at. We look at Social Security taxation, income taxation, and a lot of factors that might drive you into higher or lower brackets in the future. If you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call or call 615-851-1950.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 9:37. I am Pamela Furr. Thank you for being with us today. You know what today is, right? Yeah. Do you? It's Friday, and it's also what? That's.
Sorry, I didn't know if you wanted the music or the. I didn't see your point.
If you were watching on,
I know,
on Super Talk TV, I was doing the whole white girl point,
And I was not
and
receiving
he was
it at all.
not watching. Anyway, it is Freak Out Friday here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. If you have something you need to freak out about, give us a call, 615-737-9986. One of the things, here's another one. I've got a whole list of things.
I was about to say, you asked me. I needed to see your freak out.
Oh, I've got a list of things. You heard my first one last half hour. Here's my second one. Scientists conducting research on novel coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology were the first humans to get COVID-19. It is a new report that has been released. So that then adds more evidence to the so-called theory. I've got my air quotes up, if you can see me on Super Talk TV. The so-called theory that coronavirus escaped from a Wuhan lab. More and more evidence every day. Patients zero included Ben Hu, Ping Yu, and Yan Zhu, scientists researching SARS-like viruses at the Institute. The three scientists were researching gain of function experiments with the virus, which increases its infectiousness and makes pathogens stronger in order to better understand their dangers. This is what they were doing when they became sick in the fall of 2019. This information is now out. This information is now being reported. This information should be rattling the halls of Congress. And U.S. Senator Rand Paul should be saying, I told you, I told you, I told you. And here's the other thing. And there are more details, and I'll bring these to you here in just a moment. Here's the other thing. They should be calling Dr. Anthony Fauci before Congress and charging him with lying. Because he lied to members of Congress. He lied to members of Congress under oath. The man has blood on his hands. He's a liar, and he profited off of the deaths of people. Yes, I said it. I said it today, June 16th, 2023. New details were revealed about 4 months after FBI Director Christopher Wray said that the Bureau believes the horrific COVID-19 virus responsible for millions of deaths, including people we know and loved very dearly, likely originated from an accidental outbreak at a Chinese lab. Remember how Donald Trump was raked over the coals for calling it the China virus. Remember that? He was right. Of course, we knew it then. We know it now. That bat theory at a market was bogus. It was BS. The FBI has, for quite some time now, assessed that the origins of the pandemic are most likely a potential lab incident in Wuhan, China. That was Christopher Wray a few months ago. In 2019, two of the allegedly infected scientists co-authored a paper about the genetic lineage of SARS-related coronavirus in bats across China that they had studied. Hugh, I know I'm probably not saying it right, and it's not being disrespectful. It's H-U, so Hugh, I would think. Studied under virologist Shi Zhengli, who is known as the Bat Woman of China, for her research on SARS-like coronaviruses of bat origin. Zhengli has come under intense scrutiny since the outbreak of COVID-19 was traced back to Wuhan. Ben Hu is essentially the next Xing Zhengli. a molecular biologist at the Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard. He was her star pupil. He had been making SARS-like viruses and testing these in humanized mice. If I had to guess who would be doing this risky virus research and most at risk of getting accidentally infected, it would be him. That's what I'm freaking out about. Why isn't Dr. Anthony Fauci in handcuffs? Or at least hauled before Congress to apologize to Rand Paul, or at least charged with lying to Congress. There's got to be something that you can throw at this man who for several years had the audacity to say the BS that he would say in front of the American people. We ended up funding this. Think about that. Our tax dollars were used for gain of function research that led to the coronavirus that spread all over the world and killed so many people. 615-737-9986. It is Freak Out Friday. Absolutely. Let's go to Roy, who's on the line. Hello, Roy. What are you freaking out about today, my friend?
I'm freaking out about how we as a party are not getting behind the legalization of marijuana. When most of us, if you look at it, most of us want the legalization of marijuana to go through. Why aren't we doing that? Knowing what we know about the pharmaceutical companies and how they rake us over the coals with all their drugs, and they might not be good for us. And here we have a God-given plant, and all of a sudden, no one wants to back it anymore.
Yeah,
where are our politicians?
Yeah, Tennessee seems to be behind the eight ball on that one, don't we?
We are definitely behind the eight ball, and I have kids that are 18. They're about ready to vote on this next election, and they know it's an issue. And if we want to maintain this party, we're going to have to start doing stuff that we said we were going to do a long time ago.
And legalizing marijuana is one of those things you want to see done.
It is. I'm actually part of the group. It's just a Facebook group, but it's a legalization of marijuana. Republicans for the legalization of marijuana. And as far as the Fauci thing is concerned, how is he still getting paid? He's getting royalties off of these the what do you call it? The shots that everybody are getting.
Is he? I mean, is he? Now that part I don't know to be a fact or not, but I believe you.
I heard it on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Sure.
I do apologize for that, but I did hear about that and how he's going to get $150,000 a year for the rest of his life, and his kids will get it beyond that. And real quick, as far as I was in the military, and as far as the policy and everything else goes, don't ask, don't tell worked.
It worked.
It did. It worked. I didn't care.
You don't care. Nobody cares.
As
right.
long as you have my back, I have your back, and we can get back home safely.
Yep. That's the mission. Thank you. Did you have one more thing?
One more thing.
Sure.
For those that are having a sex change, I don't think they should be in the military just because how are you going to get your medication on the front line when there's a supply chain issue? So what, you're going to stay back and do stateside and take up a job stateside that somebody else has already earned by being on the front line. So
never thought about that, Roy. That's a good point there. Thank you very much for your phone call. Hey, Glenda is on the line. Hi, Glenda. Welcome to WTN and Freak Out Friday.
Hello. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
So I'm going back to the LBG.
The Space Force commander who says that LGBTQ states who have passed laws in their states is messing with their recruiting numbers.
Now, my whole viewpoint on this whole thing is in the workplace, why do I have to be aware of someone's sex life? And is that just not another form of sexual harassment? Because
I would say hostile work environment, but yeah, if you're being, but that would be with any anybody discussing anything sexual at the workplace.
And the thing is, if they're coming in and they're saying, okay, I'm transgender, then aren't they telling me what their sexual preferences are? Therefore, I'm being sexually harassed.
Well, now I think you're going a little too far on that, Glenda. Now let's just be honest. You're going a little too far on that. I mean, if I come in and I say, oh, my gosh, I was with my boyfriend last night. We had dinner. It was a great night. I'm telling you that I'm heterosexual. I'm not harassing you. So if a transgender comes in and does the same thing, that's not sexually harassing you.
Okay. I mean, myself, this whole DEI thing going on, it's nothing more than a new version of, well, what did they have in the 70s? Where everyone had to be equal.
Well, equal rights. ERA.
No, it was, I always remember what it was.
Well, you don't think people should be equal in the workplace?
Well, yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. In fact, I'm a person that, as far as I'm concerned, on applications, it should not have names. It should not have your gender. It should not have any type of identifying information on you. You apply for a job, you use your Social Security number, and you are interviewed and hired through that. No one needs to know if you're a man or a woman or whatever. No one needs to know how old you are. Affirmative action.
Affirmative action. That's right. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Glenda. I appreciate your phone call. Thank you for your freak out today. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Bob and Dixon. Hey, Bob.
Hey.
Hey.
You know, the problem that I've got that I'm kind of messed up about is that all these people talking about that they're running for different offices and stuff, Republicans, they never talk about what their actual plan is. You know, they're always just bitching about what the Democrats have done. But they would probably get more votes if they could go ahead and decide exactly what they're going to do. And then do it. I'm 70 years old, and I remember when politicians used to do that.
They actually would give you I'm going to do 1, I'm going to do 2, I'm going to do 3. Yeah.
And they don't
do that anymore. Thank you, Bob, for your freak out. I appreciate that. You know, I mean, is he wrong? I don't know that he's wrong. You hear politicians just say a lot of words that just kind of string together. You'll throw in a USA in there. You throw in for this country, God bless. I'm going to work for the people. You know, throw those things in there. And then you've got yourself a campaign speech. All right, 950, 615-737-9986. David, Carl, Mark, Sharon, and all you super texters. We'll get to you when we come back. It is Freak Out Friday. I'm Pamela Furr on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Search and rescue crews continued to comb through debris from a devastating Texas tornado and new developments in the case of a missing 4-year-old in Memphis. We'll have those stories at 10 o'clock. Yeah, that's where we are on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm getting punchy. I've been up since 2:30.
I understand completely. So there is no problem at all, Jay. I appreciate it. And news again coming up at 10 o'clock here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Maybe some basketball fans, professional basketball fans may freak out with this news I'm about to tell you, because this is Freak Out Friday. Come on, man.
I know, I got to be ready. This is big news, though.
So, yeah, you know what I'm about to say. So, yes. The NBA has decided to suspend Memphis Grizzlies star Ja Morant 25 games to start the next season. That's a big deal because he's their star player, is he not?
Yes. One of the best point guards in the league.
Here's what I go back and forth on this. If you don't know what he's gotten in trouble for, he's gone to nightclubs and flashed a gun. And then there's video of him in a car just hanging out with some buds. And they're just, I don't know, they're on TikTok or something.
Instagram Live.
Yeah, and he's holding a gun, which I think is his right to. Nightclubs and flashing it if you're threatening somebody, that's one thing. But don't you have a right to hold a gun if you are a legal owner of a gun? So I'm wondering if, I don't know, I've got to really do a deep dive in here. I'm wondering if his civil rights are being violated a little. He's being punished for something that he has a right to do. He wasn't pointing it at anybody. He had it in fact, actually, I think he pointed it at himself.
There's a couple things that happened before those two instances as well that I'd implore you to look into that I think could have some effect on this decision. But no doubt it's controversial.
It is very controversial. And again, when you're at a nightclub and when you're, that kind of thing, possibly in a fight, you're threatening people, all that. I get that. He went through anger management, I guess, when he was suspended last year for a couple of games. And so anyway, but that's the big sports news today. We've got more to come, though. Stick around. In fact, I think the Justice Department's going to hold a press conference here in a few minutes regarding their 2-year-long investigation into the death of George Floyd. It's on the way on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 10 a.m., and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. 80 degrees and plenty of sunshine. We've got the heat back for the day and much of the weekend. We'll get your full forecast to you here in just a bit. Search and rescue crews in the Texas Panhandle continue to look for one person that's still unaccounted for after yesterday's deadly tornado. The town of Perryton, which is in the Texas Panhandle, there north of Amarillo, took the brunt of the storm.
The 3 people killed by the twister have been identified as 66-year-old Becky Randall, a lifelong resident of Perryton, whose body was found in the print shop she had owned for nearly 30 years. Cindy Brandsgrove lived in Balco, Oklahoma, about 20 miles north of Perryton. The body of the 67-year-old was found inside the local food bank. And 11-year-old Matthew Ramirez died when his family's mobile home was destroyed by the tornado.
That is Jim Ryan reporting from Dallas, Texas. Mystery still surrounding the death of 2 American tourists at a Mexican luxury resort. 28-year-old Abby Lutz and 41-year-old John Heathcote were found in their room Tuesday night. Police say there was no sign of violence. The autopsies confirmed that the cause of death was intoxication by some sort of substance that's undetermined at the moment. Local police say they suspect it was a gas-like substance. ABC News talked exclusively to paramedics who responded to the scene. Fernando Valencia says that he felt dizzy as soon as he entered that hotel room.
My partner and I, we started to feel dizzy, and we came out. We went out of the room as soon as possible, and I was afraid for my partner because, my first thought in mind, it was like, we're gonna die.
The hotel denies that a gas of any kind is involved. The Memphis Commercial Appeal is reporting that Memphis police have recovered a body in North Memphis while they were searching for 4-year-old Sequoia Samuels, who was reported missing by her family yesterday. The body recovered was found around midnight last night, and police say it is a young girl. Now, police have yet to officially confirm the body found to be the little girl. However, Samuel's mother, Brittany Jackson, and Jalen Hobson, her alleged boyfriend, have been detained and charged. The Memphis Police Department says that Jackson is charged with aggravated child neglect, abuse of a corpse, and filing a false offense report. Hobson has been charged also with filing a false offense report. So, read between the lines on that, right? This is, the latest news at the moment. Weather's on the way. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey there, it's Pamela Furr. If you're wanting to be financially prepared for the future, I want to tell you about who I trust to invest my money. It's my financial advisor and coach, Paul Winkler. Paul and his team have really helped me out with all the investing and financial decisions I've had to make, and I know his team can help you make sense of the investing and retirement planning world. It's also important to me that they're a fiduciary, which is a very fancy way of saying they must act in your best interest. And because of that, I'm required to tell you that I'm paid to say nice things about Paul, which can create a conflict of interest. But here is the deal. I'm a current client of the Paul Winkler team, and I was a client of Paul's before I was asked to do a commercial. So that should show you how strongly and seriously I believe in their approach. Do what I did. Set up a free 15-minute phone call. It's really, really easy. And again, they're never condescending to you. If you don't understand, ask the question. They will tell you, they will teach you, and they can help you. I felt so much better after working with them, and I'm confident that you will too. Go to paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com, or just call 615-851-1950. All right. It is 10:06. I'm Pamela Furr on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm watching now a press conference with Merrick Garland and the Department of Justice. They are releasing the findings of a Minneapolis police probe, and this is in the wake of the death of George Floyd. I don't want to join it right at this moment because it would be right in the middle of it. So we'll bring you highlights of what they have discovered, or at least what they have determined with the Minneapolis police. So just wanted to let you know that we are on top of that, and we'll get you that information information at some point this morning. I also want to let you know, just a quick sidebar here, Matt Murphy is going to be in later on this afternoon from 3 to 7 this afternoon, filling in for Brian Wilson. And he's going to have Taylor Hicks on the show. Now, he is a friend of Matt's. He's the American Idol winner some years ago. Taylor Hicks is actually making his Opry debut tonight on the Grand Ole Opry. I think that's fantastic. After all these years, this is the first time he's going to be on the Grand Ole Opry, so that's a very good thing. So anyway, he's going to talk to Taylor. Did I say Taylor Swift?
No, I think you said Taylor.
Did I say? Okay, Taylor Hicks.
Taylor Hicks.
It just hit me. Oh, my gosh, did I say Swift? Yeah, Taylor Hicks will be on the show later on today with Matt Murphy, who will be filling in for Brian Wilson. So there's that programming note. Meanwhile, right now, right here, on WTN, it is Freak Out Friday. Ah, yes. So what's on your brain? What's on your mind? What are you freaking out about today on Super Talk 99.7 WTN? There's a lot of things. I mean, let's recap what has happened this week. You've got Donald Trump, who's been indicted, right? And he had to head to Florida, to Miami, to a federal court to face 37 charges, including espionage. We still have more information that's being released. It was, I think, shocking information from Senator Chuck Grassley, who says that there are actual phone calls of Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and a Ukrainian oligarch, right, with Burisma, possibly talking about the bribery scheme that we believe that the Biden family is involved in. So that was kind of shocking.
That was big. Yeah,
that was a very big deal. You also have our own Tennessee Congressman Mark Green, who's going after Alejandro Mayorkas for dereliction of duty. That was a big story today. What else? Well, those were the two really three big things.
Those are the big national things. Locally, I mean, Covenant, the writings have just now been officially transferred over to the
parents of the Covenant School. That's a big deal. So there are a lot of things going on that could stress you out. So if you need to get it off your chest today, our phone lines are open. And let me give some attribution once again. Our friend Des Dickerson, who I absolutely love. And by the way, I fangirl around him, and I know he listens. And so it's really difficult. I try to be as nice as I can around him, but I get nervous, and I kind of like, this is Des Dickerson. He's amazing. He's an amazing guitar player, and he's an amazing human being.
Oh, he's so
great. And he
great.
guest hosts sometimes here on WTN. Love him.
Such a good guy.
He's the one that came up with Freak Out Friday. So I'm going to attribute that to him. That was his idea. And I thought, no, that's perfect.
It's great.
Perfect for Fridays. So thank you, Des, for that. And thank you for your contribution to music. Period. End of discussion. Am I fangirling again? I think I'm fangirling again. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Mark. Mark, howdy. Mark, you're making a lot of noise. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. So I'm reading yesterday about a proposed GOP bill to raise the Social Security age to 69, cut more programs, but I never hear anybody say, let's put the money back in there that Congress took out of it all these years.
So where was this GOP bill? Where? Who's introducing it?
I don't remember. There was like 15 of them behind it, I think it said. The age is now 67, the maximum age for people born 60 and above. So I just don't get it. I believe in giving money to other countries, helping, blah, blah, blah. But let's help our people here that worked and broke their backs to make this country what it is. But they just don't talk about putting that money back.
All right. Thank you very much for your freak out. I appreciate that, Mark. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Carl, who's on the line. Hey, Carl, welcome to Freak Out Friday on WTN.
Hey there, Pamela. I'm just sitting here, and I enjoy your show, and I just wanted to comment on people who comment about it's okay. I don't know what's wrong with that being in the military. So I just want to lay out
that what? What are you talking about?
Okay. For example, somebody they were talking about. No, it wasn't exactly what he said, but talking about the transgender in the military.
Okay. All right.
First of all, it's a mental disorder. But second of all, in the military, people who have never been in the military, you've got a right to have an opinion. But then I realize that they really don't know what they're talking about, because in the military, there's something called cohesiveness. Okay, we are a unit. You do have the military code of justice, but also you're dealing with things that are very dangerous, very expensive, and when you have somebody that has a mental disorder, which saying you're something you're not, it's no need to have that in the military. Because while I was on the line waiting to talk to you, I have a great example to tell you why. Right now, look at the problems the schools are having trying to promote transgenderism. Look at the upset. Now imagine the military. Do you want that to protect your country? That's all. So I was calling to say I appreciate people having an opinion, but a lot of times they don't really know what they're talking about.
All right. Thank you, Carl. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Did you serve in the military? I take it you did.
Yes, I was in the Air Force. I went in, didn't know what I was going to do, but now that I'm older and I look back, it really was a wonderful, great time. I always said I was back in the early, boring Reagan years.
Yeah.
And so I do appreciate everybody. But when they say something, because out here it's promoting every kind of perversion, sexual thing, I personally, I didn't even want to know about gay people in the military.
Right. Don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't want to know. I didn't want to have a gay roommate. I'll just be honest with you. But on the other hand, the transgender thing is beyond the pale. They need to be told, I'm sorry, you're never going to be a man, or I'm sorry, you're never going to be a woman. It's a mental disorder. And people need to be honest and say that. So I'm sorry, but I appreciate you very much.
Thank you very much for your phone call, Carl. I appreciate it as well. Meanwhile, and guys, thank you, David, Stacy, Sharon, and others. I will get to you in just a moment. I just wanted to let you know what the information is from the DOJ, the federal investigation into the Minneapolis Police Department, the investigation that was launched in the wake of the 2020 murder of George Floyd. They have found that the police department and the city itself engaged in a pattern or practice of excessive force and racial discrimination that violates both the U.S. Constitution and federal law. That's interesting. Garland is saying there are 28 remedial measures needed to improve public safety and trust in Minneapolis. The so-called pattern or practice investigation, like the federal investigation into police departments in cities like Baltimore, Ferguson, Louisville, Kentucky, focused on widespread issues within the department rather than actual individual incidents. And so now they have come up with their conclusions. The probe found uses of force, including unjustified deadly force and other types of force, unlawfully discriminates against Black and Native American people in its enforcement activities. This is the Minneapolis Police Department that they're talking about. It violates the rights of people engaged in protected speech and discriminates against people with behavioral health issues. That's interesting. As was the case in several other cities, the DOJ investigation found, quote, persistent deficiencies in MPD's accountability systems, training, supervision, and officer wellness programs, which they say contributed to the constitutional violations. Interesting. 615-737-9986. The Attorney General and Vanita Gupta, who is the Assistant Attorney General, have been speaking. They're still speaking, and they're saying the Minneapolis PD violated First and Fourth Amendments, and they believe they have evidence that will show that. Let's go to David on Freak Out Friday, 615-737-9986. Hey, David.
Hey, how you doing, Pamela?
Fabulous. Thank you.
Good. Happy Friday, dude.
Happy Friday.
You're talking about Minnesota there, Minneapolis, Minnesota. This kind of happens to be that Minnesota is one of the states that I was going to bring up that have passed a bill that allows the people up there of the child protection agencies, I reckon it would be, to take your child if you do not agree with them on the transgender reassignment.
Have they passed a bill or introduced a bill?
No, they have passed a bill.
All right, hold on.
California is doing the same thing, and there's another state, and I couldn't think of it right off the top of my head, that has done it also. If you do not agree, I'm kind of laughed a little bit there, but it's not funny whatsoever. You do not agree with your child's
yeah, here you go. Minnesota lawmakers Thursday passed legislation that would establish the state as a trans refuge for children who are seeking transgender medical procedures, but who may be denied gender-affirming care in other states. It doesn't say, though, that they will take your kids. I'll have to look into this more. I'm only looking at the surface yet. But, wow, if that is the case, holy smokes, David.
Well, if they take, if they take and push it into your child's head in school and get your child confused, and then the child goes home and starts talking about it and they go back to school and says, well, my mom and daddy don't agree with that, and they don't think that I'm like that. Where's that going to lead to? They're going to go after and take that child from the parents.
All right, it says here, hold on, let's see. It says this bill would prevent law enforcement from removing a child from parental custody in accordance with an order from outside Minnesota. This legislation is meant to ensure that children undergoing gender transition procedures allowed under Minnesota law cannot be governed by child protection laws of other states. Interesting. All right. Thank you very much, David. Yeah. I appreciate your phone call. It is 10:19. I'm going to read more on this because I honestly haven't seen this. So this is an interesting bill, to say the least, that's been passed by Minnesota, a trans refuge state. Interesting. All right, 615-737-9986. You want to freak out on Friday? You can do it here. We are a freak out refuge here at Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's going to be a long road back for many residents affected by the severe storms in the Texas Panhandle. And air quality issues in many parts of the country, well, they're not going away anytime soon. I'll have those stories at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Jay. It is 10:24. I am Pamela Furr. Thank you for being with us today. 615-737-9986. I do have a super texter. By the way, a lot of people super texting today. They're freak outs. I'm reading those. I'll share some of those with you. You can also call. Phone lines are full. Whatever you are freaking out about today on this Freak Out Friday. You should have seen Mac jump.
I said, oh, dang it, again.
All right, some people are freaked out because earlier this morning on Nashville's Morning News, I gave them the earworm for the day. Mac, I don't know that you were in the studio when that happened.
I was here, yes.
But Jack Womack, he's Mr. Smooth.
He
does our traffic every day. Nothing exciting. I mean, of course he gets excited about things, but you can never tell in his voice.
No.
I mean, if there were a bombing, he would go, there's a bombing downtown. Just very, very smooth, right? So he's wearing overalls today, which I just think he looks like a hee-haw honey, just, on the guy's side, right? And so that put in my head the earworm. It just left me. Gloom, despair, and agony on me. Deep, dark depression, excessive misery. Thank you. If it weren't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. Gloom, despair, and agony on me. So I thought I would share that with you once again. I can't believe, though, Jay, that I remember that song from the Hee Haw days. Because when's the last time I haven't watched Hee Haw in 30 years.
Yeah, I know. And, you know what? It's kind of ironic you mentioned that. Actually, Hee Haw debuted yesterday in 1969.
No kidding.
Yep. Yeah, 1969, yesterday is when it debuted.
Wow. All right. Well, happy anniversary to Hee Haw. And that was my tribute to Hee Haw right there. Jay and I together singing the duet. And I didn't know that. But I was a teeny. I wasn't around on that date in history. But, I was later.
I was a little kid then. But.
I was little in the 70s. And for whatever reason, I do remember that song, and I remember BR 549. I also remember the gospel quartet. They'd end every show with a gospel quartet at the end, the Hee Haw Gospel Quartet, and I loved that because I'm a quartet girl. I love quartet music, and the Hee Haw Honeys were always so funny. Yeah, somebody's saying you left out the whoas or the whoas.
Yeah, well, when we did it earlier, Johnny B was chiming in.
I didn't take that over. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right, Mac. All right, but there's your earworm for this Freak Out Friday. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Curtis, who's on the line. Hey, Curtis, what are you freaking out about today, my friend?
Thank you for taking my call, Pamela. And I just want to say I greatly admire your ability and in your political insights. And thank you. I enjoyed listening to you so much.
Thank you.
It's amazing how Congress is freaking out that the Pro Golfers Association and LIV are merging. And now they're going to have some sort of investigation from the Senate, into this thing. But in the meantime, Communist China is buying up property all across the country.
Right.
Right next to military bases. When they buy up thousands of acres of farmland, darn well that when the war comes, that land won't be farmed.
Right.
And they're going to put us in a hell of a pinch, and because we don't have enough gumption in this country. You can nationalize things. You can't move that land back to China, but our government is so infested with communists, they wouldn't nationalize it and take it back. So, it's amazing how they want to look at this issue over here, which is so unimportant. Honestly, 1 in 1,000 people care about golf.
Right. Right. But they do care about their land. And I agree with you. And that's one of the issues, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Curtis, our Senator Marsha Blackburn has been very passionate about. She has been wanting to pass laws that would prevent any foreign entities like that from purchasing any of our property, especially around military bases.
That's why the housing market is so fouled up, because we got money market outfit or mutual fund outfits buying up all the local homes,
mm-hmm.
renting them out, and most of these are backed by foreign countries.
Yeah, thank you.
It's not farmland. It's just not next to military bases. They're buying everything
they can get their hands on. Curtis, thank you very much for your phone call. Thank you for your freak out. Just real quick, now I'm going to play a song on my computer, Mac. You know what that hint is for. All right, there are some, Jay, just real quick before the news, that say we got the words wrong. I'm saying gloom, despair, agony on me. Are you saying doom, despair?
No, I thought I was saying gloom.
I'm saying gloom.
Is it doom? Is it supposed to be doom?
I think it's gloom.
Yeah,
and there are some super
frankly don't
texters
remember.
that are saying, no, it's doom.
Yeah, that could very well be right.
I'm going to play it.
It's probably right.
Directly from Hee Haw.
Doom, despair, yeah.
Here we go.
I don't know. Yeah.
Gloom.
That's gloom, yeah. Ah. Excessive misery. Oh. Have no luck at all. Well, despair.
There you go. It's from the horse's mouth right there. It is gloom, despair.
Yeah, that's right.
And agony.
Go with your first. Usually, if you go with your first thought, it's usually right.
It's usually right.
Yeah.
It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 10:31, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We got a lot of sunshine, 83 degrees now. The heat, as you can tell, back for the day and for much of the weekend. A complete forecast is upcoming. A tornado ripping through the small Texas town of Perryton late yesterday. ABC's Maria Villarreal is on the ground in northern Texas and tells us even for those residents that were not among the 200 homes that were destroyed, yeah, there were that many. If you've seen the pictures, the devastation is unbelievable. In any event, it's going to be a very long road back to normal for these people.
This entire town is without power for now. Their concern was whether or not several of their facilities that generate a lot of power for this area, whether they had been damaged as well. So they're going to be assessing that later on today. But we have heard from residents that this could take days, if not weeks, for them to get things back up and running. Really, the first priority for a lot of these families here is just trying to assess the damage, clean things up, and figure out what their next steps are.
That orange haze that first descended on the Northeast about a week ago, it's far from gone. ABC's chief meteorologist Ginger Z tells us where it's drifted off to.
We got to talk smoke because a lot of folks in Minnesota this week had the worst air quality in the world. Now parts of eastern Iowa, even Oklahoma, have some air quality issues, but we're waking up with some really high haze in the higher atmosphere. And that's where a lot of it will stay this weekend in the Northeast, but even Kansas City has air quality alerts, and this is going through tomorrow.
That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
A Roth IRA versus a traditional IRA. Which one should we do? A lot of people struggle over this particular decision. And I'll just give you a couple tools to figure out what might be better for you. Think about it this way. Let's say if I had $1,000 that I was thinking about investing, that was income, $1,000 of income. With an IRA, let's say that you're in a 30% tax bracket. Let's say there is such a thing. And you want to put this money in an IRA. You're going to save $300 in taxes. Now, if you go post-tax with like a Roth IRA, this is how much goes into the Roth IRA. Now, let's say that later on down the road, we have this money and it didn't grow at all, just to keep the math really simple. And let's say that at some point in the future, you're in a lower tax bracket, because the way our tax system works is that your first income is taxed at a really low rate, and then you get up into higher rates, 10%, 12%, 22%, and so on and so forth. It gets higher. If you're earning income and you're at that particular tax rate up there, you might want to avoid that tax rate right now and take the income at a later point in time when you're in a lower average tax rate. Now let's say that you're in a 10% bracket down here when you pull the money. How much are you going to pay in taxes? 10% of $1,000 is $100. How much do you get to spend? $900. Well, even though I didn't have growth, I had growth because of the difference between my tax rate here and here. And that's the idea. That's one of the things that we look at. We look at Social Security taxation, income taxation, and a lot of factors that might drive you into higher or lower brackets in the future. If you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call or call 615-851-1950.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Glad to have you with me today. All right, here, I'm going to freak out about something. I got something perfect to freak out about. You know why? Because today is absolutely 100% Freak Out Friday.
See. Freak out.
Oh, my goodness. All right. So I don't know how this happens. I don't know if you just have gutted newsrooms across the country. And I think something happened to Matt Murphy along these lines a couple of weeks ago, maybe even last week, where he came on the air with some breaking news that somebody died or something, and it ended up not being not true or something like that. Or it may have been, oh, you know what? It's coming back to me now. There was a story that showed up on a feed of a local TV station, I'm not going to name which one, that made it look like a crime was being committed on I-65, because we used to have this guy that was, coming out of the woods on I-65 and going after motorists, right? So at any rate, the story started trending again on a website, and Matt thought it was new. It was an innocent mistake. I don't know if you guys will recall this. Jay, you'll laugh at this. When I was doing afternoon news, there was a story that popped up on a local TV station's website. I'm not going to name which one, where a famous sportscaster had passed away. And this is when I was doing news for Dan Mandis, who was working noon to 3, right? And so it was a legendary voice. I can't remember who it was now, but somebody that I knew would be important to Dan because of his love of baseball.
Right.
So I broke in, Dan, we've got some really sad news to report this afternoon, just learning that so-and-so and so-and-so has passed away at the age of blah, blah, blah. He had an illness. I did the whole thing. And Dan, stands up in his chair to look at me, because I'm short. So he has to stand up in his chair to look at me. He's got these big eyes. He goes, "Pamela." I go, "Yes." And he goes, I really hate to tell you this. I go, "Yes." And he goes, "That person died 5 years ago." And I'm going, are you serious? And so, I had to look, and sure enough, it was an old story, but for some reason it was being presented
that happens.
as new.
Yeah.
Well, I think the Daily Mail right now is a victim of that. Somebody do some research for me. But the Daily Mail has just posted a story that B.B. King has died.
Yeah, he passed a number of years ago, right?
2015 is what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So and I'm looking at the date of the article. The date is, look at this. Published, now I see why this is starting to happen. Published May the 15th, 2015, but updated today. Now, why would they update the story today, for crying out loud? How many years later? And now it's popped up on Daily Mail's website. And I go, "Mac, I think we've got a famous death." And I said, "So be ready." And then as I started looking at this, I'm going, wait a minute. I thought B.B. King died, several years ago. That's how you can become a victim of all of this. You have to look at dates.
You will see cases where perhaps there was some dispute over a celebrity's estate or something.
But you write a whole new story.
I know, that's what they should do. But oftentimes I will see they'll regurgitate an old story and then, just put something at the bottom and then that bottom section will say update.
Right.
That the dispute has been settled and but it will come across as a new story.
Yeah, that's bad journalism.
I know it, but you see that all the time.
And it can confuse people, especially people who aren't exactly news junkies, and especially, I would say, like a younger generation. All right, so let's say you've got a young man in a newsroom somewhere at a radio station in Timbuktu, whatever. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Let's just pull a city. And you got a young kid who doesn't know that B.B. King may have died 5 years ago and is going to trust the source. Hey, it just popped up on this website, so it must be true because the Daily Mail is a reputable organization. So, and starts to rewrite the story and then put that in that young man's newscast. He's going to have egg all over his face because he didn't go and double check. He's just relying on the credibility of the first person that posted that. It's a dangerous game we live in when it comes to news, guys. It really is. And I was almost a victim. You know what's so funny though? When I did it. I admit it, and this was several years ago. The guys didn't let me live it down that whole day, including Phil Valentine.
Oh.
He in the middle of his show, Johnny producing, he goes, "Pamela, you might want to pay attention. This just in. We've got some breaking news." I'm like, "What is it?" And he goes, "JFK has been shot." He just said he went down the whole gamut of big, huge news that is way in the past. It was very funny. I miss him. All right, 10:42. So what are you freaking out? We do not have to freak out that B.B. King has just died. He has been laid to rest for some time. But what about you? 615-737-9986. Let's go to Wesley, who's on the line. Hi, Wesley. Welcome to WTN.
Hey, how are you doing? I just had a quick story about Hee Haw.
Sure.
I was born in Albany, Georgia, moved to Bainbridge, up to Macon, and then to Cartersville. So we were moving on up. And the only thing I knew about Tennessee was hee haw.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was a salesman. He came home that day and he said, "Okay, I'm getting transferred to Nashville." And I had to go to school the next day and tell all of my friends, I'm about to be a hillbilly. I'm moving up to, I'm going to be a hillbilly because that's all I knew about it.
Right.
You know what happened? When I got here, lived in Mount Juliet, been here for 40 years, I realized I'd moved out of hillbilly land. It was
you were already
Northern
living
Georgia.
it.
Huh? Yeah.
You were already
yeah.
living it. Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, glad that you're here.
I am too. Good to talk to you, and I love listening to y'all show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Wesley. All right, 615-737-9986 is the phone number. We've got, is that Mike or Nike? Who is this?
It's Mike.
Mike. Hey, Mike. How you doing?
I'm fine. You.
I'm doing good. What's up?
The only thing that I have a comment about this transgender thing.
Which one? There's been so many.
Well, the one about the going into the opposite sex's bathrooms. I think that you're looking at the person and not the crime.
What crime? What crime are you referring to?
If a biological male walks into the female locker room,
it's not a crime.
Huh?
That's not a crime.
But if he exposes himself to
that
other
is a
women
crime.
in the
Yes.
locker, that's the crime.
Right.
I don't care what you call yourself. That's a crime.
Right.
So I don't see why these people are getting all saying, well, just because he thinks he's a woman, he should go in there and change clothes. As soon as they expose themselves to other females, he needs to go to jail. Whether you think they're a woman or not.
There's the rub.
You're looking at the person and not the crime.
Thank you for your call. I have nothing really to add to that. Thank you for your input, though. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Stacy. You also want to talk about LGBTQ plus topics, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Stacy, what's up?
I just want to say the first thing is I love your enthusiasm.
Thanks.
But I think they should change that to the Alphabet Club.
The Alphabet Club.
They keep on adding more letters to it, so just call it the Alphabet Club.
All right.
That's all I really have to say.
Okay. Thank you very much. 615-737-9986. Hey, Sharon, welcome to Freak Out Friday.
Good morning. I'm loving the hee-haw songs and the...
Yeah,
and,
reminiscing.
Reminiscing.
Yes.
Yeah, because when I was a child, my family went to Gatlinburg one time for vacation. I'm getting off subject here, but for just a second.
Sure.
But we went to a hee-haw show in Gatlinburg, and they called me up on stage to sing the song.
To sing Gloom, Despair, Agony on Me.
That one, and there was another one.
How was it? This one? Was it where? Let's see. Oh, where are you tonight?
Yes.
Why did you leave me here all alone? I searched the world over and I thought I found true love. You met another and you was gone.
That's Newsman Jay Harper there, ladies and gentlemen. Newsman Jay
So I have fond memories of that. I've been laughing my head off about this all morning. That's so funny. But I am freaking out big time about the Chinese nationals, military looking men coming across our border. And so after I think you mentioned it maybe earlier, or somebody did earlier this morning, that Mark Green was doing something about.
Yeah, he was investigating Alejandro Mayorkas for dereliction of duty because of the southern border.
Well, okay, so I'd heard even last year about some Chinese coming across the border, and I was like, that's not good. And so I just did a search on it this morning after I heard that, and there's a ton of articles going back a year, at least a year old, about this, and one of them said since Biden's taken office, at least 400,000 Chinese military nationalists have come across our border. I mean, that should make our hair on fire.
Yeah, Chinese military. You're exactly right. That is coming from House Homeland Security Chairman Mark Green, who on Wednesday during his press conference, thank you, Sharon, by the way, during his press conference into dereliction of duty charges or announcing this investigation, he said that China is likely sending military personnel to the U.S. and they're crossing at the southern border. Isn't that crazy? And he says we have no idea who these people are. And it's very likely using Russia's template of sending military personnel into Ukraine. China's doing the same thing in the U.S., Green says. He also said that the revelation, this kind of information, came from a Border Patrol sector chief, adding that he expects a classified briefing on the matter in the very near future. Is that not crazy? Is that not alarming? Is that not disconcerting? Isn't that enough to make you freak out? And I'm not joking. You know, I've been having fun with that, but I'm dead serious. It certainly is for me. Just as an FYI, I'm actually going to the southern border at the end of this month for about 3 days. And so I'm going to talk to Border Patrol agents on the ground. I'm going to talk to National Guard soldiers on the ground. I'm going to get the opportunity to get a firsthand look as to what is going on at our southern border. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm also hating the idea that I'm going to see things that are going to make my head explode, you know? All right, Freak Out Friday continues. 615-737-9986 is the phone number. 615-737-9986. It's 1040. I'm Pamela Furr on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
A Trump attorney has withdrawn from the former president's legal team in his CNN defamation case. And results from the Justice Department's investigation into the Minneapolis Police Department have been released. I'll have those stories and more at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you very much, Jay. I appreciate it. It is Freak Out Friday. We've got about 2 minutes left in this segment, so I know I've got a couple of callers holding right now. You're going to have to hold through the news. I apologize. 615-737-9986, because I want to read this from a super texter who sent this a moment ago on his Freak Out Friday. He says, hopefully you'll share this with Nashville, as many need to hear this. I'm a 32-year-old gay man. It's time we split the LGBTQ plus community. LGB and TQ plus is not the same thing. LGB is about biology, and TQ plus is expression, he says. Lots of us in the gay community are fed up with this and are slowly being pushed out. Lots of us are sick of these sex acts at pride celebrations and the attack of sexualizing children. Kids need to be left out of this, and we need to stop the transitioning of children. Anyone that ever says pride events are bold-faced lying. I've been to many, and I no longer go due to the pure disgusting acts. Interesting. So he just sent that. I don't know if he wants me to say his name, but he just sent that a few minutes ago, and I appreciate that. I have to be honest with you. I've heard from other members of the gay community who say, this is not what pride is about. This is not what pride is supposed to be standing up for. This is not the beauty that we see in gathering together as gay men and women and just celebrating the fact that we can get married now, we have rights in the workplace, that it's completely different than sexualizing children. And that's what they believe the transgender community or the queer or the plus community does. That's what the Q stands for, right? I think I'm right. Or is it questioning?
I believe it's queer.
There's so many things. It's just I can't keep up.
We're questioning what it all
I'm questioning what the Q is. Anyway, all right, more on Freak Out Friday coming up after the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 11 a.m. and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. It's mostly sunny. We're at 84 degrees. It's going to get hotter today and for much of the weekend. A full forecast is on the way. A lawyer who was representing former President Donald Trump in his defamation lawsuit against CNN said today that he was withdrawing from the case. It's the latest sign of the breakup of the Trump legal team since the lawyer, Jim Trusty, and another Trump attorney stopped representing the former president in the criminal documents case against him. This statement from the law office of Jim Trusty: Mr. Trusty's withdrawal is based upon irreconcilable differences between counsel and plaintiff, and counsel can no longer effectively and properly represent plaintiff. Again, that's what Trusty said in a filing requesting the court's permission to withdraw from the case. Attorney General Merrick Garland in Minneapolis today announcing the results of the Justice Department's more than two-year pattern or practice investigation into the city's police department. AG Garland said that the city's police department had widespread misuses of power.
The Department of Justice has concluded that there is reasonable cause to believe that the Minneapolis Police Department and the city of Minneapolis engaged in a pattern or practice of conduct that violates the First and Fourth Amendments of the United States Constitution.
The Memphis Commercial Appeal is reporting that the Memphis police believe they have recovered the body of 4-year-old Sequoia Samuels, who was reported missing yesterday morning. The body recovered was found around midnight last night. Now, police have not officially confirmed that that is the body of the little girl. However, Samuel's mother, Brittany Jackson, and her alleged boyfriend, Jaylon Hobson, they have been detained and charged by Memphis police. Jackson is charged with aggravated child neglect, abuse of a corpse, and filing a false offense report. Hobson has also been charged with filing a false report. That is the latest news. Weather's on the way. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Good morning. It is 11:05. I'm Pamela Furr on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Glad to have you on board today. What a day. It is, it's the 16th of June. We are on the last day of the week. What do we call that round these parts? We call it Freak Out Friday. Absolutely. 615-737-9986. That music means, is there something you're freaking out about? Well, this is the Freak Out Zone. You're safe here. You can tell us all about it. We'd love to hear all about it. Let me tell you.
I like that, the Freak Out Zone.
The Freak Out Zone, absolutely. All right, and you can use our super text line to do so, 615-737-9986, or you can call us and do the same thing. Put a voice to your freak out. Why not? All right, here's something I'm freaking out. I got a whole list. Here's something I'm freaking out about. This happened today. Members of the Teamsters Union have voted overwhelmingly to authorize a strike at the United Parcel Service, known as UPS, in a vote that was announced today. Uh-oh.
Whoa.
That's not good.
Whoa.
That could affect the economy in a big way. Now, the good news is the strike is still more than 7 weeks away if it happens at all. But here's the thing. They have voted 97% in favor of authorizing a strike to start on August the 1st if there's no agreement in contract talks now taking place between the company and the union. The Teamsters represent more than 340,000 UPS logistic warehouse workers and package delivery drivers nationwide. That is huge. The vote shows that hundreds of thousands of Teamsters are united and determined to get the best contract in our history at UPS. If this multi-billion-dollar corporation fails to deliver on the contract that our hardworking members deserve, UPS will be striking itself. The strongest leverage our members have is their labor, and they are prepared to withhold it to ensure UPS acts accordingly. That's Sean O'Brien, the Teamsters General President. The results were not a surprise, according to this news story. Strike votes, that is, are common when you're talking about negotiations, right? Labor negotiations. They typically always pass overwhelmingly, but despite that, the majority of contract negotiations are concluded without a strike. That's what we hope, and UPS says it remains confident there won't be a strike at this time. So even though I'm freaking out a little bit, they're saying, calm your horses there, sister. Take a Xanax. It's not a done deal yet. If a strike does come, it would be the largest, though, against a single employer in America's history. More than 340,000 Teamsters work at UPS, making it the largest unionized company or unionized employer in the private sector. And it is crucial to the nation's economy. Yes, it is. An estimated 6% of the the United States gross domestic product, the broadest measure of economic activity, moving aboard UPS trucks. It delivered 18.7 million domestic packages a day in the first 3 months of the year. Holy smokes, that's a lot. The current 5-year contract expires at the end of July, meaning a strike could start on August 1st if there is no agreement. I'm trying to see what they're asking for.
More money.
Well, probably. And I think there's some trucks. Let's see. It's pushing to get air conditioning for UPS's fleet of 95,000 delivery vans. They don't have air conditioning? I'm not sure I knew that.
Wow.
Well, that seems like it would be a simple fix.
Yeah, let's do that.
I mean, it might be expensive, but come on. Yeah, come on, man. The union has argued that beyond the issue of driver comfort, the lack of air conditioning is a health and safety issue for members. It certainly would be for me. The union said temperatures of more than 120 degrees have been recorded in the cargo compartments of the vans, and that workplace safety regulators have issued citations and hazard letters against the company for those work conditions. And in fact, we even have one heat-related death of a UPS driver in Texas. It's being investigated by OSHA. If you don't know what that is, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA. Interesting. The tentative agreement will require air conditioning only on future van purchases, not the retrofitting of existing vans, that is. That's interesting. Okay, if I were an UPS driver, I would freak out on that one.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like FedEx pilots we're doing the same thing. They have a tentative agreement right now. But they're asking for
tentative agreement to what? Strike?
To advance further, keep going. Yeah,
gotcha.
to not strike, but this is tentative, and they're asking for pension improvements and pay raises.
I understand that. But UPS, they're asking for air conditioning.
Just give me some AC.
That's all. Just give me some AC, man. All right, Joel's on the line. 615-737-9986. What are you freaking out about today, Joel?
So there's a lot of talk about like how we need to break up sort of the two-party system. Really, it's just a uniparty. So I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was basically along the lines of the way I voted since after 2008. I've always gone third party, partly because of my ideals and what I believe in, but I also believe in that if we really do want to send these parties a message, we have to put our money where our mouth is. And a lot of people just vote because, well, I don't like Democrats, so I'm going to vote for the Republicans. Like the old, the better of two evils or whatever
the
it is.
lesser of two evils, yeah.
Yeah, the lesser of two evils. It's getting old. It's getting really old. And so I was listening to about a Green Party candidate, and they were saying, like, if we can get 10 to 15%, and this is not just for Green Party, I'm just saying a third party in general, if the voters can get 10 to 15%, and show the Republicans and Democrats or the Uniparty that the voters are serious, then it's going to make some serious changes. Will that candidate win? Probably not, because there's a lot of money in the politics. But we need to really show them that we're serious. And everybody says, well, I don't like the Uniparty, I don't like the two-party system, but no one ever does anything about it.
That's true. The only way to do anything about it is to do something at the ballot box, really. You're right, to show those that you're serious and that you have a force out there that can make a difference with their vote.
If you look back to when Ross Perot ran,
right,
the two-party system got so scared, they changed the law, and that's why the third party has not been able to gain traction since Ross Perot. And so you really have to put your money where your mouth is, and we should not be scared of the government. The government should be scared of us, like hands down. And so that's just my 2 cents, and it freaks me out that people say they don't like the two-party system, but then most don't do anything because we get less than 1% for a third party.
Right.
So
Right.
That's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Joel. I appreciate that. Good words. Good man. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Lynn, who's on the line, who wants to talk a little UPS vans. What's up? Are you a UPS driver?
I am not.
Okay. What's your comment?
Pamela, how precious is the cargo on a UPS van? How precious?
I don't know. To me, it's precious.
Millions of dollars worth of product on UPS vans.
Right.
Right? School buses do not have air conditioning.
Right.
School buses. Our children are riding around in buses with no air conditioning.
And no seatbelts.
But the seatbelt thing is different. We can go into that later. If the bus catches on fire, how many seatbelts am I going to be able to cut before the bus goes up in flames?
Okay.
You get it?
I hear you. This is your platform. Go ahead.
School buses need air conditioning.
So you're saying screw UPS, school buses, should be...
No. They need air conditioning too, but we need to get some things into perspective.
Get your priorities straight, is what you're saying.
Sweetheart, you're talking my language.
Thank you, Lynn.
There's a UPS truck driving by me right now with his van door open.
Yeah, because there's no air conditioning, right? Thank you very much for your phone call, Lynn. I appreciate it. Have a great day. 615-737-9986. Hello, James.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Oh, I'm all right. Truck driver. Been driving for 41 years.
Yeah?
Got over 3 million miles.
Wow, you're the Million Mile Club.
Yeah, I've participated in almost every strike since I started driving, and I would love to see UPS go on strike, and if they could get at least half of the trucking companies and the owner operators like myself would all participate in strike, I would love to see that so we can get some things done out here. We still, a lot of the places that we go to, we still get treated horribly.
Like, what do you mean?
We're still not allowed to go into a lot of the places where we deliver at just to use the bathroom. We have to, and UPS drivers talk about it's 100 degrees inside of their van. Mm-hmm. What about if it's 100 degrees inside of a porta potty when we're forced to? That's all we have. That's all we have to use, and they're disgusting.
Yeah, no kidding.
People complain and whine all the time about their about their job. Come and do this for 6 months, or come and do this for a year, and let's just see how you feel about the trucking industry and the drivers, the people that do this stuff. Because we get treated, a lot of places we get treated horribly out here, and a lot of people don't care not one thing in the world about us. But what they do care about is getting their toilet paper, their milk, their cereal, whatever it is that they want on the shelf. But they don't care a rat's butt about how it gets there and what we go through to be sure that they get their product, whether it's a bologna sandwich or it's a steak at a restaurant or whatever you get, or if you look around your studio or your house, the majority of the stuff that you have was on a truck at some point in time. Mm-hmm. And the respect that we get from these people out here, I like to call them four-wheelers, but the respect that we get from them people is next to nothing. Next to nothing. And if I may say one more thing.
Sure.
All these, one thing that really irritates me, the one thing is, and I'm going to make some people mad, but all these lawyers that they show out here on these billboards and television, all they doing, and I know that there's some bad drivers out here, and a lot of them needs to be gotten off the highway. There's no doubt about that. But that encourages, I think, a lot of these people to drive the way that they drive so that they can get involved in an accident with the trucking company, because they know the majority of them carry at least $1 million liability. So then they hope that they can live through it and they can collect all that money. And I think those lawyers that do that stuff are encouraging drivers to do that. I'm not saying that there's, that they just want to just go out and try to, cause an accident, which I know that some of them do, but I'm sorry. This is very.
I can tell you're very passionate about this, James. And look, I'm going to let you go on that note. I appreciate your opinion. I appreciate your passion on all of this. Thank you for what you do. I mean, the bottom line is truck drivers certainly keep the thread of this country, the fabric of this country together. Do they not? They are the thread. They keep it together. They sew it together. When we had supply chain issues, when we couldn't get the supplies from those crates, at the docks by the sea, we couldn't get them to the trucks so the trucks could deliver them. We had lots of problems in that case. Who were the first people that we said, no, we can't shut them down during COVID? And that was the truckers. The truckers are the ones that keep everything moving. They keep everything going. They keep this economy going. So I tell you what I'm going to do for just a minute before we head to a break. I want to play a song here for a minute because I just think that this is perfect for what James just had to say. It's kind of a dedication, if you will, from Luke Bryan. Do you know the song? It's called Country On, and he's talking about the truck drivers and the tractor drivers and that sort of thing. So for just a minute as we head into the break, Country On, guys. Country On.
Results from the Justice Department's investigation into the Minneapolis Police Department have been released, and a Portland, Tennessee ATV accident has left one person dead. We'll fill you in. That's coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It is 11:26. I'm Pamela Furr. Thank you for being with us today on Freak Out Friday. Woohoo! All right, here's something else that I am freaking out about. Chinese hackers. Oh, my goodness. I saw this story come down yesterday afternoon as I was leaving, actually. I think it happened or at least it was released in the last hour of yesterday's show. Chinese hackers suspected of breaching the networks of public and private organizations all around the globe. It's in an exploitation that's been occurring since 2021. What? Suspected state-backed Chinese hackers have exploited a security hole involving emails containing malicious files to gain access to various organizations, with the majority being in the Americas. In the Americas. The release from Mandiant, I guess, which is an organization, a cybersecurity firm, they do not indicate which public and private organizations were subjected to the attacks, but noted that the attacks spanned at least 16 different countries and numerous government organizations. Did you hear what I just said? Numerous government organizations. They discovered this widespread infiltration by Chinese hackers after its own systems were compromised. So the cybersecurity firm got hacked. Ouch! And then they learned that they were compromised in October of 2022. So as they were investigating what happened, it looks like it was espionage activity in support of the People's Republic of China. And as they continued to investigate, they realized they weren't the only place that had been hacked. State-backed Chinese hackers have attacked U.S. government sites in the past, including an attack by a Chinese group called Volt Typhoon in May, which attempted to break into critical infrastructure in Guam and other U.S. sites to conduct espionage. The sites targeted hold key military significance, especially, listen to this, especially regarding the protection of Taiwan. Other acts of espionage by the country include the use of a Chinese spy balloon in April that collected intelligence on U.S. military sites by floating over the country. The balloon picked up electronic signals as it flew between military installations, although we were led to believe that it was a weather balloon, and transmitted that data to Beijing in real time. According to two senior U.S. officials and one former senior administration official in comments made to NBC News. The Chinese, man, they're the bad guys. Duh, you know that. I'm freaking out about this. This is a big deal. And marry that with what Congressman Mark Green told us yesterday in a press conference, or Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday in a press conference, that one of the reasons why Alejandro Mayorkas is being investigated for dereliction of duty is the fact that they believe a number of Chinese military have been crossing the border at the south illegally. Members of the Chinese military. I want to say that one more time. Members of the Chinese military. Why we have not closed our border is beyond me for numerous reasons, but I just gave you another that makes me want to freak out. It's 11:30. If you have something you're freaking out about, I'll take your calls next after the news. 615-737-9986 on this Freak Out Friday.
Good morning. It is 8:30. Well, I'm Just goofy here. It's 11:30. What am I talking about? Who am I? What am I? I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got sunshine and 85 degrees. 90-degree temperatures are going to be returning later today, and it'll be that way for much of the weekend, too. The operative word, hot. A full forecast is coming up. Attorney General Merrick Garland in Minneapolis today announcing the results of the Justice Department's more than 2-year pattern or practice investigation into the city's police department. The Attorney General saying the Minneapolis Police Department had widespread misuses of power, significant disparities along racial lines in stops and treatment, and other violations.
Our review found numerous incidents in which MPD officers responded to a person's statement that they could not breathe with the version of, "You can breathe. You're talking right now."
Police are investigating a Wednesday night ATV crash in Portland, Tennessee, that left a teenage girl dead and 3 other people, including 2 minors, injured. Officials say the ATV carrying 3 people collided with a van, adding that the ATV's brakes weren't working at the time of the incident. Although the minors, a boy and a girl, were treated for non-life-threatening injuries at Nashville hospitals, the woman, identified by police as 18-year-old Cecilia Carter of Portland, she died early this morning from her injuries. That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
A Roth IRA versus a traditional IRA. Which one should we do? A lot of people struggle over this particular decision. And I'll just give you a couple tools to figure out what might be better for you. Think about it this way. Let's say if I had $1,000 that I was thinking about investing, that was income, $1,000 of income. With an IRA, let's say that you're in a 30% tax bracket. Let's say there is such a thing. And you want to put this money in an IRA. You're going to save $300 in taxes. Now, if you go post-tax with like a Roth IRA, this is how much goes into the Roth IRA. Now, let's say that later on down the road, we have this money and it didn't grow at all, just to keep the math really simple. And let's say that at some point in the future, you're in a lower tax bracket, because the way our tax system works is that your first income is taxed at a really low rate, and then you get up into higher rates, 10%, 12%, 22%, and so on and so forth. It gets higher. If you're earning income and you're at that particular tax rate up there, you might want to avoid that tax rate right now and take the income at a later point in time when you're in a lower average tax rate. Now let's say that you're in a 10% bracket down here when you pull the money. How much are you going to pay in taxes? 10% of $1,000 is $100. How much do you get to spend? $900. Well, even though I didn't have growth, I had growth because of the difference between my tax rate here and here. And that's the idea. That's one of the things that we look at. We look at Social Security taxation, income taxation, and a lot of factors that might drive you in a higher or lower brackets in the future. If you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call, or call 615-851-1950.
Good morning. It is 11:36. I am Pamela Furr on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Glad to have you here. As I bang the microphone again. Sorry about that. It is Friday. Finally Friday. We also call it Freak Out Friday around these parts. Oh, yeah. What are you freaking out about today? 615-737-9986. What do we call this? The freak out freeze? No.
The freak out zone.
The freak out zone.
I like that a lot.
It. Yes, yes. All right, so I don't know, maybe he's not, but you know that Conor McGregor is in a little bit of hot water today. So I'm going to talk about this for just a minute. I'm not freaked out about it. But there's some suspicious activity here, and I ain't talking on the part of Conor McGregor. I'm just being honest.
Okay.
Just being honest here, in my opinion. So he's being accused of forcing a woman into a VIP men's bathroom at NBA Finals, at an NBA final game, and this woman is saying that his entourage of security guards guarded the door and that he attempted to... There's some graphic details out there. I'm trying to be careful. Basically rape her. But she's very specific about what he did. And she's also changed her story. She changed her story after video was produced. TMZ has produced video that doesn't show her being forced into this VIP bathroom, but rather Conor McGregor took her hand and he led the way and she followed right behind him.
More of an escort.
More of an escort. More like, here, honey, let me get you out of this crowd. The hallway or whatever there in front of the bathroom was completely crowded. Elbow to elbow from what this video looked like. Now, why she would follow him into a bathroom is beyond me, unless she was just panicking and, I can't breathe. Or... She's now saying, oh, well, no, they didn't force me into that bathroom. Actually, I thought I was being led out the exit door and we were going to go to the Four Seasons Hotel. That's what she's now saying. Now, that's as I recall the story. Let's get the details here. Video has emerged of the moment Conor McGregor led his sexual assault accuser into the bathroom at the NBA Finals in Miami last week. And it shows his entourage of security guarding the door while they were inside. That's what they're saying. That's what she's saying. The MMA fighter, who is expecting his fourth child this month with his fiancée, has been accused of forcing the unnamed accuser to perform a sex act on him. I got to be careful. And attempting to do something else to her in the VIP men's bathroom at Game 4 of the NBA Finals last week in Miami. Sidebar, has there been story after story of violence and craziness at the NBA Finals in Miami? Good Lord.
Yeah, really, in Denver. Yeah.
That's right. In Denver, there was shootings and that sort of thing, wasn't it?
Yes.
Holy smokes.
Yes.
All right, in a statement on Friday, a spokesman for Miami police told the Daily Mail that the Special Victims Unit is investigating a report that was filed Sunday, June 11th, 2023. So they are looking into it. The video has been released. And I got to be honest with you, this woman does not look like, to me, she's being forced to do anything. Now, I don't know, as she's walking, is she saying, no, please don't, no. I don't see any of that. And there are other people around them that are not part of his security detail. So my first question is, now look, and I mean, I'm a woman here, and I'm just saying, if you were being forced to do something you did not want to do, with all those strangers hanging around, could you not mouth, help me? Help me, or no, I don't want to go. Now, I don't know the situation. I'm trying to think of other scenarios where, was she being kidnapped? Who is this woman? Is this someone he did want to have a quickie with? And I'm not being facetious here. and she agreed to it and then decided later to shake him down? Does she have quickie regret? These are questions you have to ask. Or was she indeed forced to do something she did not want to do? McGregor's entourage of security guards shown blocking the entrance to the door. His attorneys say the footage undermines the woman's original allegation that he and his security guards forced her into the bathroom. The claimant's lawyers now changed their story. Mr. McGregor welcomes the investigation, which he firmly believes will show the claims against him are false. After not responding to the demand for money made by the claimant's counsel, she turned to the media to apply pressure. This is no more than a shakedown. Barbara Lanes, a female attorney for McGregor, said in a statement. It's nothing more than a shakedown. The accuser's attorney originally said he had forced her into the bathroom with the help of his security, but the video doesn't show that. So after the release of that video, she issued an updated statement saying the woman thought she was being let out of the venue to go to the Four Seasons where he was staying. Well, let me ask you this. Why would you go to a hotel room with him? My client.
So her issues really with
location?
Yeah.
My client was under the belief that they were leaving and going to the Four Seasons Hotel, as Connor had previously asked her to join him at his hotel room. She maintains that someone approached her and told her, "Connor told me to come get you." As she was walking out of the venue, she says McGregor took her by the hand into the restroom. My client believed they were leaving. I got to look at that video. Is there a clear sign that says restroom or VIP sign? Yes. I see men on one sign. Yeah.
Pretty sure it's clearly
I think it's clear that it's a bat. I mean, he's walking in the door next to the sign that says men, and then a handicap sign also, or wheelchair sign, that it's wheelchair accessible. It's clear. It's not a teeny sign. And as they're going past into that door, I'm looking at her. She goes right past that sign.
And the door's open, and you can see through the door. There's a mirror there. It's clearly a bathroom.
You can see it.
Yeah.
And there are people inside, too, aren't there? I mean, I think I see, or I did. Maybe they came out when he went in. But I don't know that her story is going to hold up at all. And I'm just going to say this, ladies. If a man invites you to his hotel room, I know your VIP and hotel rooms can be huge suites where you have a living room area. You can sit and watch some TV. You can have a conference. If there's a conference table, you can have dinner. All these things. When you're that level, it's not like he's taking you to a Motel 8 or something, where it's just a bed and a desk, or a bed and a bathroom and that's it. And I realize that this is certainly a different level playing field than the general. But if a guy is wanting to take you to his hotel room, now I'll also say this, even if a guy wanted to take you to the hotel room and you went, obviously, if you didn't want anything to happen, you can say no. And if he does, that's sexual assault. That I am well aware of that. But this just seems a little sketchy to me. And it bothers me. You want to talk about freak out? It bothers me if women participate in shaking down millionaires by using sexual assault to do it. That bothers me. Because that then makes all of those who actually go through some sort of sexual assault, it makes them look suspicious. It makes the next case a harder one to prove down the line because you've used the system to pad your own pocketbook. That was a female term, wasn't it? Your own wallet, your own bank account. Well, and it's wrong.
Yeah, and if this isn't true and she is lying, she's going after an athlete who's already being perceived rather poorly amongst the public eye for other issues that he's dealing with. And so you're kind of going after someone
who's vulnerable.
Who's very vulnerable. Yeah, it's not okay.
It's not okay. Now, he has been questioned by the police. He says, bring it. Bring it. Bring it. And there's details in here that I cannot read on the radio, but she goes into supposed alleged specifics about what happened between them there in the bathroom. She says she was able to get away by elbowing him to get free. Now, okay. He's an MMA fighter.
He's one of the best fighters in the world of all time.
So if she's saying she was able to elbow him to get free, maybe she did. Maybe some what is it? What I'm looking for?
Self-defense
lessons.
Self-defense
lessons paid off. Now, maybe, you get somebody at the right place. I don't care what kind of a fighter you are. You hit them in the right place. They're not going anywhere for a minute. That's anybody. But I don't know, guys. I
don't know.
I just have a hard time buying this one. I really do. And there's a reason why they say that she says she was able to catch him off guard, a detail that I can't really talk about on the radio. It's
a little bit of a distraction.
He was focused on something else.
Gotcha. Okay.
And couldn't. Well, anyway, I'll just leave it at that. You can, if you want details, you can find it. Google will find the story. But that's this story on Conor McGregor. And I'm not saying she's lying. I don't know. I'm just saying, boy, looking at the video, it does not corroborate her original story at all. And that's not good for her, and certainly good for Conor McGregor, whose fiance, I guess, is expecting their fourth child, is what it says.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. That's the latest. It is 11:49. 615-737-9986 is the phone number. If you'd like to freak out on this Friday, you are more than welcome to do so. By the way, Matt Murphy will not be in here in the next segment because Matt Murphy will be filling in for Brian Wilson, who's under the weather today. J.D. Hayworth, I think, is what I've heard.
Yes.
Will be here at noon, or actually after the news at 12:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll wrap up the show in just a moment. You just made my day, producer Mac.
I knew that would be
Super
good for
Talk
you.
99.7 WTN with a raspberry beret. Yes. All right. Glad that you're here. It is just the end of this show. It's been a wonderful week broadcasting with you today. We've got, though, J.D. Vance.
J.D. Hayworth?
Who's J.D. Vance?
I don't know.
Why did J.D. Vance come to my brain? All right, Google J.D. Vance. I don't know who that is. But anyway, I'm sorry, J.D. Hayworth. And I know J.D. Hayworth, and he's going to be mad that I even did that.
Oh, J.D. Vance is a senator from Ohio.
Yeah, hello. No. It is J.D. Hayworth that will be coming on at 12:05 after the news. So be listening for that. In for Matt Murphy, as Matt Murphy fills in for Brian Wilson, who is out under the weather today. He's been forthcoming, though, so I will mention this. He has posted on his socials that he's still struggling with shingles. I do not know the pain. I know the description of the pain, but I do not know the pain. I am going to say some prayers for our friend Brian Wilson because apparently it is excruciating pain, and so he's still dealing with that. So please, if you will, say a prayer for him this weekend as you go about your business. There are lots of things going on in the world, but as I end this show this week, as I end this show on this Freak Out Friday, we make fun of that. We laugh at that. People are freaking out about things. But the truth of the matter is we do have hope that everything is going to be okay. Everything always balances out, doesn't it? I mean, when things are bad yesterday, they are better tomorrow. We go through seasons. We go through our spring, our summer, our falls and winters when everything is crazy, but it always comes back to spring again. There's a scripture verse, this too shall pass. And it goes in everything, whether it's good, this too shall pass. Something bad's going to happen. But when it's bad, this too shall also pass. So there's all these seasons, and the hope is that we can just get through this on the other side and everything's going to be okay. So with indictments and investigations and craziness, take deep breaths and know that everything's going to be all right. How's that for motivation to go into your weekend? Unplug for a minute.
Love it.
Love your friends and family or your girlfriend over there, McMorry.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
just enjoy the weekend. And it'll all still be there tomorrow. All right. Have yourself a good one. I'm out on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.